Primeau fan.
Thank you for having me.
Your fans are like...
What an honor to be here, Pete. You're a legend. You're a rock star.
I'm a legend in my own mind, said my wife.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I'm Mr. Selling from the Heart. What's this guy, Larry Levine, going to teach me about selling from the heart?
You are one of the most generous and authentic people around. And I think that's why you and your show are so attractive to people.
Welcome to the Primeau Show. It is episode 278, and we are talking about Focus Now with Steven Rosen, and we will get to that as soon as I pay the bills very, very quickly. If you haven't read my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? This is a book that will help you get more traffic, more profits. It's a marketing and business book. If you take the word furniture and mattress out, my dear friend says, Doug Stewart says, it's just a great marketing and business book. If you want a sales book, we've got a sales book. Miles and miles of retail selling greatness, 43 years of blood, sweat, and tears in this book. If you have to do a sales meeting once a week, this is 3 years worth of sales meetings for under $20. So here's the most important part about this book. From the minute your salespeople read it, literally within a few minutes, if they get the very first chapter, they're going to start selling more instantly. So I want to share with you something that I did. Probably shouldn't have. It took me 6 months longer to get the book completed. What's changed and what could we do better? And I picked 10 of my friends. You're going to know these names: Jeff Giannakovo, Justin Trumbo, Brent Batterman, Chris Tahaney, Steve Carnes, Randy Thompson, Scott Vaughn, Keith Castenguy, Mel Opp, and Mark Klingenberg. All wrote chapters in my book. They made the book so much better. And let me tell you something that's crazy. There's only been one dude that's taken advantage of the very generous offer in my book by none other than Randy Thompson, the adjustable bed guru, who will do a free seminar for you at his store. You just got to get to his store. And if you read this book, you're a friend of his, and he's going to give you a free training on adjustable beds that's worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in extra profits. So grab that, guys. What else do we have? Oh, thank you so much for sponsoring the show. Steve and Greg, we appreciate you more than you know. If you want to learn how to build, market, sell, and succeed in the mattress industry today, this is the place to be. It's 100% free Facebook group. Everybody's in here, from sales reps to store owners to RSAs to owners of manufacturing companies. Everybody's in here. Come on in. You don't need to be alone in this business. You know, if you want to learn more about marketing, more about selling and succeeding in the mattress industry, it's all here and it's free. So come on in and join us. Over 3,200 people in this Facebook group. That's highly, highly unusual. And some of the best in the industry are in this group. So join the group. My dear friend Chris Tahaney's working on a book that elevates the mattress industry. And what we're looking for is stories that are extraordinary, where we get extra validation for what we do. And what do? We help people wake up happy and pain-free, and we can even extend their life expectancy. If they're getting a good night's sleep, they're going to do everything better. Ask any Olympic athlete what the most important part of their training, they'll tell you it's sleep. It's the most important thing. Most important thing for mothers and fathers, sleep. A lot of times they just don't get enough. So if you have a salesperson in your store and they're too shy to send in their story about how they changed someone's life, you write it up and you send it in to Chris at mattressrsastories@gmail.com. Chris will polish it up and he'll send it back to you for your approval. You can share it with your RSA, probably be the right thing to do. And let's get this thing going, because we do special things. As my dear friend Scott Vaughn says, we are the most important healthcare provider in our communities, more important than anybody else. And yes, that includes doctors, because without a good night's sleep, you have no foundation for good health. So what else do we have? Oh, Mattress Retailer Toolkit. If you're serious about the mattress industry and you have a sneaking feeling that there's more to life than just reacting to everything that's going on, and you want to create a business that serves you, that you're not a slave to, Mattress Retailer Toolkit's got your name written all over it. For less than $100 a month, I belong to it. A bunch of really great sales reps belong to it, but more importantly, a lot of really great store owners belong to this group. And it's for furniture retailers, it's for mattress store retailers, it's for industry influencers, it's for industry leaders, for factory reps. If you want to learn more about this business, be a better student of it, and how to execute better, create a better customer experience, this is the group for you. So join the group, hit that QR code, and let's get started, because I cannot wait. Steven, welcome.
I'm so glad to be here and the pump up to start. I was jumping off my seat on your intro.
Everybody that has ever, hey, Steve Hauk, good morning to you, my friend. Steve Hauk is saying good morning to me. Patrick Tinney, Patrick, I love you.
My fellow Canadian.
You came out to support your fellow Canadian, and that means the world to me, Patrick. And I'm glad all is well.
He's a rock star.
It's always better when we have you. So, what was I saying? Oh, you should have written this book 44 years ago, Stephen.
Well, 44 years ago,
when I started,
yeah,
it would have made my life a lot easier. You know what you do in this book is extraordinary, and I cannot wait to dive into it. And guys and gals out there watching, your questions take precedence over mine. So if you got a question, Chris is going to put it up there and Steven's going to answer it for you. But this is what I did this weekend, and I read it twice. It's so incredibly good. Focused, a leadership discipline for sales managers under pressure. Anybody here a sales manager who's under a little bit of pressure? Anybody? I'm sure a bunch. And what Steven creates in this book is more than a framework, way more than a framework. It's way more than just a discipline. He helps us create a structure in our business that can survive pressure. And guys and gals, you know what I'm talking about. You know, you're out there, and it doesn't matter if it's retail or wholesale. This pressure exists everywhere. And it could be as simple as a sales rep that you've been, our dear friend, how we got together is Weinberg's forward, Stephen.
I know.
I love Mike Weinberg.
So do I. He's
I adore him. And one of the best things that Mike ever said is in his management book, you are a hero maker, not a hero. And so, like, we sometimes as store managers, as sales managers, we put the tights on and we think we're Superman. We're going to
Yeah.
fly in, we're going to save the sale, and we're going to show everybody in executive management just what an awesome closer we are. And we literally cripple our salespeople. We create invalids. That's what we do when we do that. And Steven goes into this in detail in his book. So, Steven, I'm doing all the talking. I'm going to let you
It's
kind of
okay.
run
I'm
with that for a
listening.
few
I'm
seconds.
soaking it up.
What I have one question that has been, I was with my daughter Raven in Oklahoma this weekend, and it was just a wonderful time. And we were talking about your book,
Oh, no kidding.
and there are it's endemic. It is everywhere. It's in every industry. It's in wholesale. It's in retail. This idea that I have to fly in and save this salesperson and show them how great I am and show
Yeah.
executive management how awesome I am. But you would really be so much more awesome if you could create a situation where you had consistent coaching, where you had consistent feedback loop, just not when you feel like it, baked into a structure so that your people become what you have become, and they don't need you to close the sale. They don't need you to come save them because you do such a good job of helping them think. And you have so many great quotes in this book, Steven, so many. But one of the things that I loved the most, and it made me go back in time into I was so lucky and so blessed. My first repping job was with Serta and Serta Mattress Company, and Bob Sherman ran it. And Bob Sherman said, before I'm done, we're going to be number one. Well, when I started with the company, we were number 3. It was almost impossible to imagine us beating Simmons and then beating Sealy. But Serta did that under Bob Sherman's leadership. And he had 2 really great sales managers that I worked under, then Barbara McKay and Jeff Allen. And they would never answer my questions, Steven. Never.
Well, they obviously, could have written.
They read your book before you wrote
it.
They would always give me either 1 question back or 2 or 3 questions back. And they would never, ever let me off the hook and just fill in the blank. It was always about teaching us how to think. And almost all those reps that came out from underneath that leadership team, they're all executives now, every one of them. And they're really successful executives because we don't teach, we don't rescue people. We don't do
that's
it.
The word.
It's the worst thing you could ever do for another human being. That sounds counterintuitive. So go into that a little bit, Steven.
Well, it's very interesting, Pete. Part of the problem I talk about is that the system rewards certain things, and some of them are the wrong things. Number 1, rescuing deals, responding to sales reps, being busy. None of those are leadership activities. So you may rescue a deal, and you've talked a bit about that, but you don't help the sales rep get better when the next deal comes. So you're in a continuous loop of rescuing deals, saving the rep. But in the process, you're not teaching them how to be better or coaching them how to be better. And that's really the role of the sales leader. And I talk about the whole thing is sales managers are busy. They're good people. It's not a talent issue. It's what the system rewards. And if you reward your people by continually jumping in, saving them, you're going to be doing their job. And guess what? That's not your job.
And then, this other, so pressure comes to the sales manager from the people he's responsible for. Save me.
So-
And then it comes from executive management who has no respect for your schedule, who just schedules something on top and may not even ask you. And you need to kind of stand up to it and say, you know what? I'm super busy. I can't do that. Can we do another time? And listen, if you've gotten to the point where you're a sales manager, you should have enough sales chops to be able to sell your executive above you. It's
Well,
not easy. There will be friction at times. And
so
I love that not only do you describe the problem and then you kind of give us solutions, then you help us to create a structure, but then you dive deep, Stephen. I mean, almost half of the book is like the pitfalls, the things that are going to derail it and what you can do to prevent that from happening. Hardly anybody ever does that in any book about anything. So my hat is off to you. And it's a
thank you.
challenge to
Thank you,
all of
Pete.
us authors that we would be that thorough with what we're presenting and what we're putting out there. My question that I have been dying to ask you, and Raven's gonna laugh because I told her I was gonna ask this
Right.
question.
Okay.
Stephen, what happened in your career? Like there was like a breaking point where this stuff just kind of all started to fall into place for you and you started to realize, you know what, we can't do it this other way. It has to be this. What was that? When did that happen? What was that like?
Well, the epiphany. It's interesting, Pete. I've been in my own business for 23 years that I left industry. And, your business evolves over time. And for the last probably 15 plus years, I've been focusing on sales leadership, helping sales leaders become great leaders. And so, one of my first realizations was that coaching was key to success. Every study shows that there's whatever a 16, 18, 20% lift if you just coached. If you coached effectively, even better. If you spent more time coaching. So I've been always sort of trying to help managers realize that coaching is key. So I developed my own coaching course, which interestingly enough is called Focused Coaching, because I do believe in focus. And then I realized that just training managers was not enough because it would die very quickly, as training does. And I'm not a trainer by trade. I was a VP of sales. I was a sales leader who was very good at implementing. So then what I told my clients is I don't train without a coaching follow-up. And I'd follow up with the managers on a weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly basis and ensure that they're coaching effectively because, most training dies within 30 days. And then I realized when after the 3 or 6 months, there was a tail off. And one of my clients, which was just recent, probably in the last 3 years, when I spent time going through my repertoire of how to be a great sales leader, he got up and said, whatever Steven's taught us over the last 2 days, we're going to implement. And the managers were very excited, except the problem was, it's great, but we're too busy to do that. And so, we implemented a task force to get rid of minutia, the stuff that doesn't generate revenue. And the leader basically supported ongoing use of what we taught them, which was effective coaching, doing effective monthly reviews, a la Mike Weinberg, and being out there as a leader. So the epiphany, I joke that I'm a slow learner, but it's taken me 20 odd years to realize that the missing piece, because I'm all about implementation, the missing piece in creating great sales leaders is having sales leadership, senior sales leadership, supporting, enforcing, and inspecting the key things you need to do to drive your business. And the reality is that doesn't happen.
Well, you went into great detail and you used a word that I've never seen used before when we're talking about sales leadership. and you were talking, you use the word protect, that you protect these three focus items. And, you know, it really is that, because letting something go in the heat of the moment is, it feels like the right thing to do. It takes pressure off in the short term, but what it creates, it's an insidious cancer in your sales force, and your sales force are not getting the coaching that they need from you. They're not getting the attention they need because you're busy trying to please often an executive above you.
Yes.
And often we've trained our salespeople to get us because we're going to put the cape on and we're going to save the day. And both of those things can really get us off of course where we need to be and develop. And I had I was talking to a top 100 sales manager, and he absolutely refuses to give up his coaching time. It doesn't matter. The owner of the company knows that if you interrupt Bob with a
Yeah.
sales coaching, it's not happening, because he's gonna finish his sales coaching and then he'll put the fire out, whatever needs to happen. But he's not trading that off under any circumstances. So after I read the book the first time,
You
I
thought of
sent him
Bob.
a text
Yeah.
and I said, you don't need this book because you already do it better than, you're protecting the important things. And the important thing, how do we teach our sales reps how to think, and how do we coach them? How do we teach them? Some guys and gals need specific help, whether it's mindset, whether it's a specific technique, how to improve their qualifying, whatever it happens to be. They don't get better on accident, and protecting those key focus items. I wanted you to talk about that because it's one of the best parts about your book, because without protecting those three focus items that are critical to your salesperson's success, we've got a loop that does not work. It breaks. It breaks under pressure, which is your word that you use a lot.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And here's a crazy thing. Like, why didn't more people talk about this before? I've never seen this like in a structured way. Like, you really just take this apart and show in your book how insidious this drift can be, this trying to appease your salespeople, trying to appease executive management, and then losing our focus, and not really holding sacred those focus items that we really need to hold sacred.
So Pete, there's a lot of ideas you're throwing in
I
there.
know. I just threw
And I'm
5
thinking,
questions
what do I
at you
respond
at
to
once.
first?
You pick whatever one you want, brother.
Okay, so I'm going to start here. This is something I did throughout my career. I was never trained for any of my roles, and my career in industry, it's a long time ago. But the one thing that I did every time I was promoted into a new role, and I was so lucky, I had 7 roles over a 7-year period. And I ended up running 3 divisions at a company I was working for as VP of sales and marketing. But the one thing I did, because sometimes I didn't even understand the products, is I would identify the 3 things that my team needed to do to be successful. And I have a process for doing that, which is called focused strategy execution. But the bottom line is I always did that. And what I did is I'd actually, you see, I have a whiteboard behind me. I'd have a whiteboard in my office and would always have my 3 things on it. And as I coach sales executives and sales managers, it always starts with their 3 things. And I'm not telling them what they should be. In the book, I talk about what I believe are the 3 things that are critical as a sales leader. Number 1 is coaching. Number 2 is accountability. And number 3 is execution. Those are my 3. And I think the reality is most companies, most sales leaders most sales managers are all over the board. They have too many things that they're trying to juggle, too many focuses that they're trying to complete, and they become a master. What is it? A jack of all trades and a master of none. Okay. And my belief was, if you could figure out the three things, and it didn't have to be perfect, but if you figure out the three things you need to do as a group, as a sales team, excuse me, to be successful, and you did them, guess what? You'd be successful. It's no more complicated than that. But the problem is, and you touched upon this, and I really do want to answer it. You know, when your boss calls or texts you or slacks you or whatever method of communication there is, and you're busy, you've got a coaching session planned with Steve, and you respond to your boss immediately. What you're saying is, my time's not important. And I talk about how you should respond. And it's as simple as saying, hey, can I call you on Friday to discuss this? I'm going to go coach Steve. And the problem that we face is, I touch about a lot of uncomfortable things in the book. Things we don't want to do. It's not an inspiration. If you want to be inspired, don't read my book. If you want to be kicked in the ass, read my book, because it says you should say no to things that are not on your list, or I'll get to them when I get to them, or I'll get to them by Friday, because you want to be respectful to your boss. You want to be respectful to your reps, but saying no is part of being focused. That's what I wanted to share, because, you know, we're all uncomfortable saying no. I talk about the system. The system rewards yes people who respond to their emails immediately. And what I tell my people, the people that I coach, because we're moving to a different level now of putting an infrastructure for companies, is at the end of the year, no one, if you don't make your numbers, no one is going to say, Steven was amazing. He answered my emails within 3 minutes. Nobody gives an SH, right? But you think you're doing a great job.
Yep. Patrick Tinney.
Oh, my buddy.
Here we go. Patrick Tinney asks, Steven, do you think CRM has warped great four-legged calls to major clients with managers who plan calls tightly with their sales reps? My boss, Don Fisher, was one of the greatest strategists ever. We did not have CRM, but still managed at 100 million retail department. Still managed 100 million retail department. It's a great question.
Okay. I just wrote a really good article. I haven't published it yet. But it talks about tech stack. We're way beyond CRM. We had CRM. We had a whole bunch of stuff. Gong. I'm trying to think of all the technologies that we keep adding, but they don't solve the big issue. And the big issue is forecasting, it's execution, and it comes down to leadership. And there's no leadership tech stack that you can add. So CRM plays a role. But many CROs, and you know, part of my message is for sales managers, but the bigger message in the book is for CROs who are allowing this to happen in their organization. And many of them will go and ask the board, you know, for $10 million to implement, I don't know, what's the best CRM? Let's say it's Salesforce, and they implement it, but it doesn't solve any of the issues that they're facing. Good forecasting, good deal reviews. So the issue, or the solution in my mind is, hey, you know, I pitched for Salesforce way back when I was in industry. It's a great tool, but it doesn't solve your issues. Leadership discipline solves the issues.
And a big part of leadership is saying no. You have to say no to a lot. You have to say no to the people that you're responsible for, and you have to say no to the people that you're responsible to, because between the two of them, they'll drive you crazy. And one of the things that I love in your book is you don't need to work harder. You're already working as hard. You don't have to have any more passion. You don't have to have any more belief. What you need to do is have a structure that can bend a little tiny bit in places, but it doesn't break when pressure is applied. And pressure is coming whether we want it to or not. It's there, it's real, and the higher you go, the more pressure there'll be. Period.
100%. And there's less control the higher you go, right? You can't affect all the levers, and then you panic and you throw the system into additional pressure. I mean, pressure mounts every 3 months if you're public.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And
Quarterly. Yeah. How did you perform in the quarter? One of the things that I loved about your book is you do not wait till the result is there. You don't wait to the end of the quarter. You don't wait to the end of the month. You're a professional sales leader. You know what good performance looks like. You know whether they're doing the things, or at least you should, and you intervene sooner rather than later, so that you're not doing an autopsy about why we had a horrible month and then try to fix it with backward looking lenses. That was absolutely brilliant, Steven.
and there's so much time wasted on driving with the rear view mirror, right? What happened? And I'm not saying you don't do that, but I learned in a course I took many years ago that focus forward is key. If we're always driving, looking in the rearview mirror, we're not moving forward. And I teach a course at one of the universities here, one of the business universities, Schulich, and I talk about that concept. How much time should you be spending looking backwards, and how much time should you be looking forward? Well, the reality is you can't impact what happened in the past. You can learn from it. Yes, let's learn from it. But really, what I want to know as a sales rep, or as a manager of my sales reps, is, do they know where their problems are? I don't need to analyze their data. I want them analyzing their data and coming to me with plans of what they're going to do next to take their business to another level.
Yeah. And one of the things that I really loved, that it just threw me back 30 years ago, when I was just starting in the wholesale end of it. I'd been in retail my first 9 years, and then I was starting as a wholesale rep. Is this idea about developing critical thinking skills with your sales reps, and making them think through, making them articulate. If a standard wasn't met, articulate it to me, feed it back to me, tell me what you're going to do, and by when to correct it. I love that.
For me, it's always about planning forward. I didn't say it, but you want to create self-managing reps.
100%.
And then you can help them in one or two areas, because we're focused, to help them get better. So the key is, if you have self-managing people, then you can actually lead them as opposed to manage them. And that's really the goal of a manager. The best managers, are not spending time managing. They're spending time leading, which is coaching, which is, intervening before things go off the rails, and helping reps plan what they're doing. One of the questions I ask when I'm training, and I always get the same answer, is, talk to me about your reps. Are they burger flippers? I was once a burger flipper. I know I hated it, but, or are they high paid professionals? And if you treat them as burger flippers, nothing wrong with burger flipping. As I said, I wasn't the best at it, but, if you treat them as high paid professionals and get them to think, then you're helping them evolve to be better. And most people don't want to think. I used to have one of the most brilliant sales/marketing leaders, a VP, who I coached, used to say, Steven, tell me what to do. And I think, that's not my job. Maybe I've been there before, but it's not my job to tell you what to do. My job is to help you think critically by asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. One of the quotes at the end of the book that really tied a bow on the whole thing, because you go into drift in detail, and I'd love to dive into it. But this is the quote: tolerance feels reasonable in the moment. over time, it destroys performance. That is absolutely point on and absolutely brutal and an indictment of many businesses.
Well, you know, if part of the challenge that managers face in their own minds is, I don't want to be a micromanager. And this book is not about micromanagement,
No, it's not.
right? But it's about maintaining and keeping your core, whatever your three things, your core principles, your core strategies in place. And I talk about, as you said, protecting them, making sure that they hold when pressure happens. So what does that look like? Okay, there's a deal at the end of a quarter. You know the rep's going to ask you for a discount or whatever they're going to ask for, as opposed to doing their homework and not dropping price. When standards are dropped, the message is they're all flexible, and certain things you don't want to make flexible. And I talk about three things. It doesn't have to be more than that. But those are your core three things. If it's coaching, I'm not going to drop coaching for a marketing meeting, an update on a new sales aid or a new product at this point. That is my primary focus. And at the end of the year, if you stay focused on your three key things, you're going to be on the podium.
Yeah. So good. So
and your
true.
reps are going to be on the podium too, by the way, because your colleagues probably haven't read the book.
Is that you, RJ? Listen, I have to say something. RJ Williams, I love you, dude. I absolutely love you. My heart was breaking that I couldn't be with you on Friday when you had the grand opening of your new store, but wait till I catch you up on my visit with my daughter. It'll touch your heart.
Well, congratulations on the new store.
RJ says, spot on. What a great episode. Thank you for sharing. We're just getting warmed up, RJ.
Yeah.
And by the way, you have one of the most successful consultants in sales leadership right here in person. So if you guys or gals have any questions, like we are live, you can ask Steven anything you want. And Patrick Tinney says, the problem with discount is that we are training the client how and when to buy.
Oh my God, Pat, you are so right on the needle. And
money.
There's one company I've worked with that sells continuous supplies to physicians, and some of those supplies are pretty expensive. They may be injectables or what have you. And every quarter when they're short on sales, you know what they do. They have a buying promo, and the clients know this too. And, getting a 15, 20, 30% extra discount is meaningful to these physicians' clients. And you train them. I mean, you said it. I'm just reinforcing it, that you train them how to buy. And at the end of the day, it doesn't help your bottom line and clients hold back purchasing till the end of the quarter because they know they'll get a better discount. But it becomes like heroin. It's a drug that you need to throw in the deal to make the quarter. Otherwise, you become pressurized to the problem.
Yeah.
As opposed to selling throughout the quarter.
When you were going deeper into this pressure and like protecting the standards that you've established that are your three focus items, and you're hanging on to those. This is how you summed it up towards the end of the book, and it's brilliant. Leaders are measured by what remains intact when pressure is highest. When there's no pressure, it's easy. When the pressure mounts, the executive above you and your sales rep who's pretending like he or she can't swim without you and they want to be saved. If you want to create cripples, just keep saving them. If you want to create strong salespeople and make your life a lot easier, and then you guys can have really cool discussions about higher things, Stop throwing them. Stop being Superman or Superwoman coming in and saving the day. It is, you know what? We're raised to want to help people. And there are a
100%.
lot of people and a lot of salespeople who are really good at trying to pretend they're helpless, and they're not. We wouldn't have hired them if they were that bad.
They're not burger flippers. They're high-paid professionals that need to think.
And they need to think like high-paid professionals, and we need to hold them accountable like
Yes,
high-paid
you
professionals.
got it, Pete. I'm telling you, I think we are, brothers from another mother.
Gordon, you are elite, my friend. Nick Saban, elite. This is a great compliment. Great show, Pete and Steven.
Thank you.
Love the info on focus rather than reacting to any or every request for attention. Yeah, you've been in so many executive leadership roles over the years, Gordon, and you've got your own consultant business now. And as you go on more consultant gigs, you're going to see even more of this stuff that you fixed when you were in that position, but it is really almost everywhere. I've had some really great conversations with Weinberg, about this, and he doesn't pull any punches, right?
Well, you know that he wrote my foreword.
Yes,
and
that's one of the reasons I reached out to you. One of the reasons
many people, but there's a story behind that. And Mike's very busy, and I respect his time. He's in high demand. And I sent him a copy of my book, an early copy, and I said, Mike, I don't want you to compliment me. I want you to be, whatever he uses, bold, brutal, and honest truth. I said, that's all I ask, because I need to get some feedback on the book. And he says, okay, that's me, Steven. I'll do that. And then I get a note, and I don't want to swear, but this is effing unbelievable. I said, what are you talking about? He says, I love the first 2 chapters.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued. And then we happened to, he was in Toronto, and this was planned a little while ago. And I said, sure, we'll go out for lunch. We watched a bit of a football, it was NFL playoffs. And I was hoping he'd write the forward, because I highly respect Mike. He's my favorite. It's like my favorite book on sales leadership is Sales Management Simplified. That's the God's honest truth. I have it right here. I don't want to have to pull it out, but I could. And
I have it too, my friend.
He says, how can I help? And that's nice. Many consultants will ask that question. And I said, would you consider writing the forward? And he talks about this, and he basically said, Steven, I just wrote one for another one of my friends' authors, and I said I wasn't going to write anymore. But how could I not write on this book? And I know it sounds self-centered, but that's exactly what he said. And I thought, oh my God, that's fantastic. Now, not that I had to wait 4 weeks until he finished and wrote the forward, but it was well worth it, because he's become, he loves the book. And, it's up here. And I guess in some ways I am promoting books, but I'm promoting a way of thinking that I think is different for most sales leaders. And if you take Sales Management Simplified as the book on how to do things, and you take this as building the system to enforce that it happens, they're actually great complements to each other. Yes.
Yeah, they're bookends. You need them together. Yeah.
So I didn't write it thinking that, to be honest with you, but it was an epiphany, as I said, that what the key issue, because I always think, I think like a VP of sales, how do you implement this? How do you make this happen?
Right.
And the whole time in my business, I'm always thinking, how do we make this work in the company? Because it's frustrating as a consultant coming in, you do a great job, and then 6 months later, the work you've done it is a shadow of itself.
Well, your introduction, the job you thought you were getting and the one you actually have. I mean, dude, grabbed me and threw me down, and I had to keep going. It's so good. We've all lived this. Everybody in sales management, everybody in executive sales management, we've all lived this. And you just start laying it out and laying it down. But you know what? Okay, Patrick, you go first. Steven, what is your best tip
Uh,
to manage up to senior management? Tread carefully because they're writing your check.
no, we need to talk to those people. We need to shake them. That's what the book is. The end of the day.
Friction. You talk about it in your book.
Well,
Friction. You're gonna create
I
friction.
love a little friction it's fun, right? But first of all, my easy answer is have them read the book. You know how many people said to me, "Oh, I wish my boss reads the book." Well, buy it for your boss. That's who it's for, because the people who create the system are the senior leaders. They allow this stuff to happen. If your senior leader is asking, Steven, who have you coached this week? How have you developed them? As opposed to, where are we at with the Acme deal? You then change the culture. So as a sales manager, I think there's some great tips in this book. I really do. And, I've lived the role. I've coached people. I've really tried to think, how do we make things better for them? But the real benefit is the CRO or the middle. The middle, if you're a big organization, the middle is probably who as Mike says, need to be punched in the face, or he was punched in the face. But really, the wake-up call is there. What are you talking to your managers about? Are you talking about, where are we at with this deal? How does the pipeline look? Or are you asking, how are you developing your salespeople? So Pat, yes, the biggest issue, and I guess, in some ways it's a new category. And by the way, Pat and I live in Ontario together, and Pat was, I think, one of the first people I asked about, what do you think about this book, Pat? Because Pat's a thought leader. I mean, he's a smart guy, and I think he said, put stories in. Did you? Yeah. And I put stories in. So thank you, Pat. You might not realize it, but you helped augment my book.
And Pat's got 4 great sales books.
Yes, he does.
Own, soon to be 5. Pat,
yes.
Was I supposed to say that? I'm
of
sorry
course.
if I wasn't. I love putting pressure on my friend Pat. I love him, and it's just out of love and keep him moving. So you talk a lot about choosing very carefully the standards that we're going to focus and then protecting them. And it's not a matter of discipline. It's a matter of structure. Can you go a little deeper into that thought? Because that is really what separates your book from every other book I've ever written about sales or management. You actually help us to assemble a structure that will hold up to pressure, that will help us protect those vital things that are important.
So great question. I have to maybe take 5 minutes to think about that one, but I'll try to answer on the spot. It's a great question. And in some ways, from a pure marketing perspective, because you talked about marketing earlier on in your introduction, this, I think, is a relatively new concept, sales leadership infrastructure. It kind of evolved through just the work that I do and realizing where the shortfalls are. So if you think about marketing and writing annual plans, there's very much structure to it. You follow a template, you follow a way of thinking. Sales leadership, it lacks some discipline. It lacks a structure. This is how we do things. And it doesn't have to be complicated. And I teach that at the university, and I teach that to my clients. Building some structure, and it doesn't have to be a ton of structure, helps the managers manage, helps drive performance, because what we do is we focus on the things that are important. And what we focus on and what we inspect is what people do, because they know you're going to ask them. So building an infrastructure, especially it holds up under pressure, because that's the real acid test. But building a structure starts from the top and involves all the layers to buy into. But if the manager is doing all the things that I say, but the next level, whether that be CRO or VPs, are not asking them or holding them accountable to that, there is no structure. So, you need to build that. And again, it's along three important things that are going to drive your business, not how quickly you respond to emails. And I had a wonderful coaching client, probably the most brilliant guy I coached. He moved into a sales leadership role many years ago. He's now CEO of a biotech company. And I don't take any, maybe take a little credit, but brilliant. And I remember him in a coaching session saying, Steven, I don't feel like I'm doing a good job because I can't keep up with my emails. And I'm sure he's not alone. And part of it is you don't want tons of emails because they are, they don't generate revenue most of the time, right? They're time-sucking activities. So structure is about putting what's important first and sticking with that and asking the questions. Oh, Pat's up this morning. Pat, it's a holiday in Canada.
Patrick Tinney asks, structure is smart, Steven. Does that include having a philosophy on incentive plans and discounting?
A philosophy. Well, first of all, discounting is not a good thing to do. As you said before, you train your customers to wait for the discount, and basically you're eroding your average selling price.
Yeah.
I joke. Part of what you want to reward, I guess, I understand what the question is you want to incentivize your three things somehow, right? As a simple example, if you determine within your organization or within your own group that coaching is a critical success factor, what I used to do, this goes back 25 years ago, and it holds true because nobody does it, is that, there's two factors for success in sales or leadership. And one is the quantity of things you do, hopefully the right things, and the quality. So if you take coaching and you take that simple equation, quantity can be measured by how much time you spend coaching. And I used to track my sales managers on that every month. It was 50% of their time.
Wow.
That was a lot. Now, to be honest with you, we tripled sales over 3 years with no new products. We went from 70 million to 221 million over a 3-year period. The second thing is quality. Okay. And that's a tough one, right? How do we measure quality of coaching? Well, field visit reports, reading them, having discussions with the managers on them.
Yeah.
Well, those are two things. One, you can tell by what feedback they're giving or how they're working with their reps by reading their field visit reports if you have those. And two, having discussions with them about coaching gives you an idea of where their head is at. So to me, so the question came back to incentivizing, and I'm a big believer in open-ended bonus plans. Because companies, I believe, because we did triple sales over 3 years with no new products, never know what their true potential is. They never know until they push the envelope. So let's see how high we can push it. And especially when I'm in, I was in the pharmaceutical industry, and if you have people on chronic medication, people don't go off chronic medications if it's blood pressure. So every build is maybe a lifelong customer. So you want to incentivize on that. To be honest, I'm still a true leader, true sales leader in place. Thank God my new website's up, or my revised website. So
that's awesome.
And then I think what you want to do is incentivize the key, your three critical success factors, or your three things. So Pat, I hope that answers the question. It's a great question, and it is an important one. You do want to align your incentive plan with what you're trying to drive within your organization.
Do you realize that we are about to get the hook? I feel like we've been talking for 5 minutes.
Well, Pete,
that sucks.
Well,
I have so many more questions.
How many guests have you had on twice?
Anybody who's been watching, now's your chance. Stick up your hand. Chris Stone will determine who is the first person that answers this. If you want one of these 100% free, this great book that can change your sales leadership life and your business life, let us know. Send me my free book and I will figure out how to do that. So Chris will be the determining factor on that. And if I missed a question that I should have asked you, what would it be?
Well, this is going to be a promotional question, Peter. There's lots of things. You asked a lot of great questions, by the way. Kudos to you as an interviewer. And, uh, since, I took I've done some podcasts, but everybody I've asked is you got to read the book if you want to have a really good interview. So
You have to.
it's clear. It's clear that you did a great job reading the book, and I'm glad you got some real good things out of it. The biggest challenge that I face right now, we've had really good acceptance of Focused. And my belief is the biggest impact it can have is not on individual managers, but on sales organizations.
Yeah.
Where the senior leadership reads it and says, hey, we want to implement 2 or 3 things from Steven's infrastructure, from his book. So the question that you haven't asked me is, what do you do if someone wants to buy 100 books?
What do you do if someone wants to buy 100 books, Steven?
Well, Pete, you go to the page that you were just on with my book on it, and we have opportunities for people to buy bulk. And what we do is we support them with a bunch of modules that will help them implement it. So if you're a senior sales leader, I want to help. To me, it's not about selling books. I want to help you build infrastructure and make this an important component of how you do business, because your forecasting will be better, your performance will be better, you'll have less headaches, less burnout, happier managers, happier reps. So I challenge senior leaders to adopt or to read and see if they want to adopt some of the principles that I share in Focused.
We have a tie.
Okay.
Gordon Hecht and Andy Anderson, you're both getting books.
Don't we go into overtime? Canadians play hockey. There's no time. I'm teasing you. I'm just teasing.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Gordon.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. That is a very good question that I really should have asked you. I could talk to you for hours, but we have to get wrapping this thing up. Somebody that's read this, that has watched this show, maybe they've already read your book and they're interested in getting in touch with you. Steven, what's the best way to do that?
You can go to my website, Steven at starresults.com. You can email me at Steven@starresults.com, 2 R's. I'm on LinkedIn quite a bit. I wrote a good article today on forecast drift, and it's published on there. So, connect with me on LinkedIn. Maybe that's a start. If you want to talk about, how we can help you, by all means, you can book an appointment either through my website or through LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Oh, you guys are so fast. Forecast drift. The biggest issue SaaS companies faced.
Chris Stone is absolutely rarefied air as a producer, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. I called him and I said, okay, will you produce a show for a little guy in a really niche industry? And obviously the answer is yes, because 278 episodes later.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. Anybody out there, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, call Chris Stone, for God's sake. Why mess around with people that don't know what they're doing? This is the most overqualified podcast producer I've ever met in my life. He was a legit Sony producer.
I believe it. We chatted a little bit, and I watched the graphics, and I had a podcast a year and a half ago, but with a partner, and we dropped it. But I like your work.
Yeah, listen, my first podcast, I did it all myself. I couldn't keep up with it. I was too busy.
It's a lot of work, but kudos to you. 278 episodes.
Kudos to Chris. He does all the work. I do nothing. I show up, I talk to my friends, and I share ideas with people, and that's all we do. It's
okay. Well, that takes you obviously did your research. So kudos to you.
you made it easy to do my research. Hey guys, don't short circuit yourself when he says like the book's over. It's not over because he's got all these resources in the back. It is so good, so much in this book to help you. You know, Stephen, this is what I got. Just not to embarrass you, but you need to know this. What I said about Steven Rosen when I finished his book is this guy really cares that we get this and that we get it right and that we implement it, because you went over beyond. You went through every possible stumbling block. You defined it. You used illustrations. You used stories. You pulled us. You pushed us. You challenged us, and you gave us way more than a framework. You literally provided a structure, and a structure can hold up to pressure. More motivation's not going to do that. Brad Carroll says, 2 great things I got from today's show: structure and accountability. Great show. Thanks, Pete. No, actually, thanks, Stephen. But thank you, Brad. That's very generous of you.
Yeah, you know what? Anyways, thank you. You know, these things keep me going. I've gotten a lot of great feedback on the book. You know, I'm a self-publisher. You know, I did most of it myself, not all of it. You know, we had someone who typesets and all that jazz, and that's
Sure.
not doesn't work. But this is my baby. Now, not to tease anybody, but I tease my wife that there's 2 more coming, that it's going to be a trilogy like Star Wars started as.
Awesome. I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. You know, put me into the book launch sequence and come back on the show. You're welcome anytime, Stephen.
Thank you. It's
you
been
really
fun,
care. And to me, that's the most important thing in business. When I can look somebody in the eye and I can tell that they care. When I read their book and I see what kind of care they put into this, that they really want the person on the other end to win, and you left no stone unturned. Like,
there's a couple new stones I have to turn over.
Anybody that reads this, you know, if they have any questions, they can reach out to you.
100%.
But
well, we've been communicating since the Weinberg podcast, and I've made a lot of new friends.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
It is. Actually, it's LinkedIn's a lot more fun now.
It is. It is. It is for you. You did a great job with this, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, RJ. Thank you, Steve and Patrick. What a treat. Thank you for being here, brother.
Happy Victoria Day, Patrick.
Yes, we have to wish our Canadian friends happy Victoria Day. And guys, go enjoy your holiday. You're working. You shouldn't be working.
Well, you know what? It's always a pleasure. This is not work.
That's awesome. Everybody go forward and have fun and sell a million. And Stephen, thank you so much.
Pete, thank you. It's been great. This is it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks. All the fun was mine, brother.
Okay. It's shared.